Define and defy, hackathon, Morales and Google. 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 Define hackathon, Morales and Google. Define and define hackathon, Morales and Google. Define and define hackathon, Morales and Google. Define and define hackathon, Morales and Google. 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 Morales and Google.
Greetings, developers and hackathon participants. Welcome to another Defining DeFi live stream. Today, we are joined by various members of Phantom, and let's dive right into it. I'm going to bring these gentlemen on the stage right now. We're here with Sam, Ibrahim, Juan, Simone, and of course, I'm Phil, your head of events at Morales. And what we're doing today is we're going to be meeting up in GatherTown for an extended question and answer that's both interactive and fun for everybody who joins. So the first thing I want everybody to do, if you're watching us right now, is to click the link in the description and join us in GatherTown. That's going to bring you to this space right here. And let me mute my camera and microphone there so I don't have echo, but we're all going to be meeting around this table here once we get going in a little bit. We're going to continue to broadcast on YouTube as well for anybody who joins us as we're going, and we're going to give it a few minutes before we get into question and answer here. We will also take questions on the comments in YouTube if you're more comfortable that way, or if maybe you're at the office and listening in and aren't able to join in GatherTown. That's okay. We still want to hear your questions. At the end of the day, what this is about is equipping you for success in this hackathon, and specifically addressing those of you who are building on Phantom. Now, if you're a brand new developer with us, and maybe this is your first hackathon, and you're wondering, which of these tracks should I focus on? You're about ready to deploy your dApp, and you're wondering which ecosystem to deploy it to. I highly encourage you to consider Phantom, and maybe as your first choice. You're going to find that Phantom is one of the more approachable ecosystems that are sponsoring this event in terms of the number of developers that are standing by to help you. You can see, if you're watching on YouTube right now, I have 5 team members from Phantom on live stream right now. We're also in GatherTown, here to help you, here to talk with you about anything that you want to. I'm going to hand it over to Sam here in just a second to give us an introduction on some of the things that they've been working on lately internally. Maybe they have some announcements they want to echo here on this channel as we're getting started. And then from there, we're going to move into some questions with all of you. So Sam, over to you. Oh, I think you're muted, sir.
That's right, I am. Thanks, Phil. Amazing introduction as always. It's always a pleasure to hang in here, especially in GatherTown with you, where we can throw these confetti and dance and kind of get some questions answered here. So looking forward to meeting anybody who wants to come and chat with us today. Some points I'll just echo. I don't think really we need to do an introduction about Phantom, but some highlights about some upcoming events for Phantom would be one, Gitcoin. So that's some more information about Gitcoin will come out this week. Around the application process, about the criteria that we're looking for, as well as the length of this round. So that's something to be a little bit excited about. as well as the Vault, which is another funding pathway for developers on Phantom. We're just finalizing some last specs on that, so hopefully we'll see an announcement on that coming up soon. So there's two very cool pathways for access to different funding, whether it's through Gitcoin, whether it's through the Vault, or here with the hackathon today. So if you're building on one of these tracks, it's going to be awesome to see what people have developed over these past weeks, and I'm sure there's a lot more to go. But it'll be really cool to see some initial ideas that have started to scope out.
Amazing. I'm just reaching out to some of our friends in Discord here to remind everybody about the stream right now. GatherTown is a great space for us to be able to meet in this sort of pseudo one-on-one environment. And if you haven't tried it out yet with us, I really encourage you to. This is something that we bring back every single hackathon event. So if you're watching this later on, maybe a couple weeks from now, and the Moralis Cross Google Defining DeFi event has already passed, it's not too late to get involved with our communities, to get involved with using Moralis, and to start building on Phantom. This is a protocol that we will support perpetually. That means as long as you're building on Phantom, Moralis will be there to support you in your development and to make that accessible for you, and also to help you get connected with members of the Phantom team as you're building out your dApps. Because a lot of times there's certain things that the core development team can give you hints about that maybe wouldn't be apparent otherwise, and maybe are unique to their environment, be it the way that liquidity is currently set up, or where that's concentrated, and things of that nature.
Awesome. Yeah. It's a cool place to be. You have the amazing Moralis logo there, as well as a Google Cloud one. I love the song that you guys came up with. I think how's the Spotify hits coming on that?
Oh, absolutely. We are on Spotify now. In fact, now that's another thing I'd like to, and I guess I can bring this up with you now while we're waiting. I do see we have a couple people joining us in GatherTown. Amazing. Hey guys, how are you doing? So we're going to get a little echo in between GatherTown and YouTube. So what we want to do to mitigate that is, if you're on stream on one, make sure to be muted on the other. And if you do have a question and we're not hearing you in GatherTown, go ahead and post that question in the nearby chat. I've got that up on the screen right now.
Hey, Aaron. How are you?
Hey, mate. I'm doing well. How about you?
Good, I'm good. Where about you based?
I'm based in Portugal.
Oh, likewise.
Yeah, I just come from the IPFS Web Summit here in Lisbon.
That's awesome. And are you building on one of the tracks for the Moralis Google Cloud Hackathon?
Yes, I do. Yes, I have been building Moralis already. Actually, a game to teach smart contract through block language. But for this hackathon, I'm wondering to make another project. It's more connected with a data. For this hackathon, sovereignty.
Ian is one of our regulars in GatherTown, actually.
And about yourself, you are from Phantom?
The joys of trying something new, right? Trying to combine, GatherTown with a stream. Yeah. So I didn't hear that question, Ion. Sorry, there's a bit of a feedback loop.
Ian was just asking about your background with Phantom, Sam. Now, Ian is one of our regulars in GatherTown, actually. I've spoken with him several times about his dApp. He has, and I hope he doesn't mind me sharing a little bit of his development journey, but he has some interesting ideas about combining Eastern philosophy with blockchain technology. And a lot of things I've hearing from him for the very first time. I never heard from anyone else. All right. For anybody joining or it's with us on YouTube still, we are still in GatherTown. I apologize if the sound wasn't working here on YouTube. We've been talking with Sam, Abraham, Juan, and Simone of Phantom about how we enhance our DeFi dApps with in different ways and how we bridge that gap between traditional finance and DeFi. Talking a lot about composability in particular. So at this point, I'm going to see if I can stream our conversation there over to YouTube, but we've been struggling with a little bit at this new format. I encourage everybody, if you're joining us, click the link in the description, join us in GatherTown because everything is working fine over there, and we definitely don't want you guys to miss out on that. That said, the Phantom team is available even after this call and throughout the rest of the event through their Telegram channel. Is that correct, Sam? Oh, go ahead and unmute on StreamYard for this one, just so we make sure that everybody on YouTube hears this one.
I'll go ahead and unmute.
I'm getting a weird feedback on my computer. I'm not sure what's going on, but of course, just to echo everything. Can you hear that?
Yeah, it's because you still have GatherTown opened at the same time. You have to mute GatherTown.
Done. I just closed it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So people at home, you see what we're struggling with here. But the good news is we're here to support you one-on-one. Feel free to reach out to me on Discord. I'm Pwn Sauce in the Moralis Discord. And then what I was asking Sam about is there's a Telegram channel that you guys have for support for the hackathon. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah. We can share that with you and you can share with everybody else. Additionally, we can ping on our Discord as well and our TG. So we'll make sure to get that link out there. Otherwise, you can come to our TG on Telegram and just ask for one of us there, one of the admins, and we'll definitely, try to answer any questions that you have. We're super excited just to interact. So even if you think it's a silly question, don't be afraid just to come and ask us. The point of this is to help the builders on Phantom, really. So don't feel embarrassed or disencouraged about anything you have to ask, no matter how small or even big that you think it is. So just feel free to ping, and I'm going to have a conversation about what you're building and see where we can help. And then just to echo one of the points that Juan said, I'm not sure if it did come across, and that's this hackathon isn't I guess the support with this hackathon isn't going to end once it ends. So even after this hackathon, if you do have any questions and you do want to build on Phantom, do know that we are an approachable foundation, and that if you have any questions, you can ask us at any time. When we're building on Phantom, we're kind of building together here. So it's about just helping everybody build and make sure that we come up with the next generation of ideas for DeFi, especially through this awesome hackathon.
Absolutely. So there is one thing I wanted to share. I was talking a lot in GatherTown, but I want to share this one for the benefit of anybody who's watching on YouTube. I had an idea relating to DeFi that I think would be an interesting dApp to deploy on Phantom. Now, I'm not personally building this, so anybody who wants can use this idea. Of course, just know that I'm giving this out publicly, so there may be more than one person who decides to look into this. My thought here is, so there are already dApps on Phantom which can earn you yield through stablecoin or other methods. And what if you took the percentage of that dApp, and rather than just adding the other dApp in as a function in your DeFi dApp, you do a modified version. So you allow users to deposit, say, 80% of their funds to this yield earning protocol, and that'll automatically earn yield for them, and you can optimize that maybe in some way with auto compounding or these types of things are pretty well capitalized already. But here's where you could do something a little different. What if you took that remaining 20% and you put that into a community pool where each person owned their percentage of the deposit in the community pool? And what would happen with that is that pool would then be deposited to the same DeFi protocol, but at optimal deposit periods. So if you had, the thing is, most of these DeFi protocols that offer some type of yield, you're actually owning a percentage of a pool. rather than holding your exact tokens. And I know this gets quite complicated at this point in terms of how you would apply it yourself. But what if you offered some sort of like automatic DCA advantage or automatic market timing advantage to your users for a certain percentage of their assets so that you could attempt to get them better yield for it? Here's why I'm saying all of this. It's important that at some point in DeFi, we break away from short-term thinking. A dApp that promises 20% yield for one day is probably not all that useful to most people. It's only useful to somebody who can put $1 million into that for the one day, take their 20%, and then go. Those folks like you and I who are putting like, $10 of assets in there and expecting that we're going to earn something, losing out almost every time. So what if we made a dApp that rather than giving you these amazing returns right away, they only really gave you better than traditional finance returns after an extended period of time? So the motivation is for longer term investment rather than for, let's see how many free tokens I can get and how quickly I can sell those on the market before the market on them tanks. That type of activity, while it can be very fun, and I know that a lot of us have participated in dApps like that, it doesn't have a long life to it. And I think that as we approach these, as we approach truly replacing traditional finance, we need to think in terms of long-term, the way traditional finance does. Long-term in traditional finance is 50 years. There's nothing in DeFi that has a 50-year time span yet. And maybe we're not ready yet, but until we start to think in those terms, how will we ever be ready? These are the things that I'm thinking about. So hopefully that helps you in your own brainstorming. It's certainly not financial advice, but maybe some ideas that you can glean from that.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I might, if the sound wasn't going through, Juan, do you want to kind of go through just briefly again the add-on part of what you were explaining on some ideas? I think that was also a great point. Juan?
Oh, Juan, go ahead and unmute yourself on StreamYard at this point.
Yeah. Juan, so you got to get out of GatherTown and just go to the stream, basically. Yeah. Juan, so
all right, okay. Can you hear me now?
Get out of GatherTown and just go to the stream.
Can you hear me now?
And you got to delete.
You got to close GatherTown as well.
Can you hear me now? Get out of GatherTown and just go to the stream. Can you hear me now? You got to delete. You got to close GatherTown as well.
All right. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
All right. I just closed GatherTown altogether because I think that's the solution for right now. Sorry, could you repeat your question, Sam?
Essentially, I was just saying, a lot of the audio that comes through. You can't hear me?
Can you guys hear him?
Yeah, I can hear him.
Oh, hold on.
And we can hear you pretty well. That's all good. I'll just echo what he said. Essentially,
can you say something again?
Yep. Juan. Oh, good. Oh, good. I'll just echo. It's fine. I was gonna say
this is an experiment.
Juan was driving
this
through
is performance art.
Can you hear us? Can you hear us now, Juan?
I'll cover.
If there was any question that this was live, now you know.
All right. How about now?
Well, I think I can.
All right. I'm gonna have to.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Back. Give me a sec.
Yeah. All good. So essentially, what Juan was saying before, that kind of improv was that it's not just about building a dApp from scratch. You can see, big dApps out there that already have massive user bases, and think of some sort of add-on or plugin that they could use to offer their clients a range of more pathways, or just to give the users a better experience, whether it's through insurance, whether it's through some sort of futures market on top of a DEX, whether it's some sort of insurance model that plugs into the dApp. The range is quite endless, because there's so many different dApps and there's so many things you can build on top of those dApps. But it's just about don't think about it as you have to start something from scratch. There is a pathway where you can work with other builders. And the cool thing about Phantom is that everybody who builds on Phantom is so open and they're so eager to engage with different ideas and different ways of, making their product better, but as well as building partnerships that will, benefit both parties. So that's essentially what Juan was saying. Maybe if you want to recover, Juan. But yeah.
All right, now I can hear you. So that's the good news. I think you're talking about the composability aspect, right? Sounds like.
Sure. Yeah, that'll be a good part to cover off as well.
Yeah. So, I mean, what we were talking about earlier where the sound may have cut off is that for a lot of builders that are coming to build on Web3, the question they have to ask themselves at the very beginning is this an environment or an ecosystem in which I'm better suited by competing head on with the incumbents? Or is it an environment in which I'm better suited by building something valuable on top of whatever they're offering that's going to now service a very select subset of users who have a specific need that the protocol on its own doesn't address. And so that's always the sort of almost like the build versus buy of Web3, right? Where you're trying to figure out, am I going to gain more market share and more users by trying to compete head on with a giant lending and borrowing platform? Or am I going to benefit more from, for example, offering some sort of financial product that sits on top of it and lets users who are borrowing or lending hedge against rising or lowering interest rates? And that's an example of a specific DApp that I spoke to at one point in time through one of our Twitter spaces. And so what I think Phantom really allows for is by having all of this developer activity and all of the transactions concentrated on one chain, and ensuring that when developers deploy an application, regardless of how quickly or to what extent they scale, they can scale while remaining on the chain and never having to worry about going and setting up their own silo and becoming blockchain operators where they now don't have that composability of building on top of or collaborating with other apps to the same degree. That's really the benefit that Phantom offers, right? The ability to come, find where you can best serve a niche, serve it and provide value immediately, and actually stand on the shoulders of giants, as they say. So that's a huge advantage. And then, going on top of that, it's part of the way that we've set up our ecosystem funding, which, there's something we have called the Ecosystem Support Vault. It's in its infancy stages, but essentially what's happening is a percentage of validator fees that were previously being burned and removed from the circulating supply are going into this vault, which then any developer can apply for a grant for, and that's governance led. So if you apply for something and you get the grant, you're being streamed these payments in real time. We're going to be doing that through something like Llama Pay. And so what that means is that if you are a developer and you say, hey, going back to this concept of microeconomy and really going after the long tail of a very specific use case, and you say, hey, look, I'm not going to be a super app that's going to be the next, decentralized Uber, but I know that I have a target audience of potentially 100 to 1,000 users. Each one of them is a high lifetime value user that's going to actually contribute quite a lot in terms of revenue to my protocol. Therefore, maybe I can't come in and say I need $1 million grant and 30 developers to get started, but that you and 2 other people or even solo developers can come in and say, what I need is microfunding. I need small recurring payments to get me off the ground, to get me through this development phase until I scale, and then I figure out what I want to do next. That's where the system comes into play. So really what I'm talking about here is a combination of leveraging the composability and interoperability of being able to build on the shoulders of giants without finding yourself siloed and having to contemplate the possibility of one day having to become a blockchain operator, and also taking advantage of the fact that regardless of what size developer you are or what degree of funding you need, there will be some sort of solution for you so that you can, even if you're just catering to 100 users to start, you can get off the ground and do that and provide a product that has strong product market fit from day one, even if that's a small market that you're going after.
Yeah, great points. And maybe I might throw the mic over to Ibrahim. Did you have any tips or ideas or thoughts you wanted to share with the devs building for Phantom on this hackathon?
So I'm not the best with the ideas, but again, so I'll take some points from all of you, as you said. The first thing with Phil, as he said, it's better to not overcomplicate things. The first category where it's traditional finance meets DeFi, it's better to start thinking in the form of traditional finance and then see how you can just convert it into blockchain and then use the aspect of the features of blockchain and improve the project, because that's when you realize that taking a simple application and adding more and more features does make it a better blockchain, does make it a suitable blockchain application then. Because as you build and build on blockchain, you realize that, okay, I can do this on the blockchain because it allows me to do this. And as you said about the fact that you're in Portugal, but you're able to trade with anyone around the world, and that helps, and that, so it opens the door for you. And yeah, I guess that should be it. That should be it. And as you said, if anyone's working on the projects and they need help, they can always reach out to us, and we'll be always there to help them. Yeah.
Nice, thanks, Abraham. And not only do we help with the technical side, but as well on a bit of a marketing push to get your voice heard. Simona, do you want to just cover on how we help projects get heard a little bit?
Sure thing. So depending on the project, of course, we want to make sure the first thing is deployed on Phantom mainnet. That's very important, because we get a lot of requests of projects that are either thinking of coming to Phantom or they're only on testnet, and so we want to make sure that actually users can go right away and try out the product. We try to stay away at this point of Phantom growth, to stay away from sort of announcing projects coming, because we never know where they're going to deploy, and the users sort of get impatient, or even maybe in the end it's not really the best for the project itself. So anyway, first condition, of course, is that the project needs to be deployed on Phantom mainnet, and then we can provide different type of support. We always discuss with the team. Of course, we're always open to hearing ideas, to listening to the feedback. So all the marketing support goes from a simple retweet on Twitter to more sort of active engagement on Twitter itself. So either a quote retweet on our end, or a comment, or a tweet from our account. Then moving to either a blog post on our website, or a blog post on the the project website, and then all the way down to either Twitter Spaces, or having them on our Vertical Blocks podcast. So this is sort of the spectrum of the collaborations in terms of marketing that we usually do with projects. And we try to do them over time. We're looking for long-term relationships with projects. We don't want to do everything, right away. Also, because once again, our main focus is to give value to users. So, we want to make sure that whoever builds on Phantom stays on for the long run, and it's really engaged with the community at large, not necessarily just their community, but the Phantom community as a whole. As Sam was saying before, it's something that it's unique to Phantom. Also, talking to the Covalent guys, and these actually can be seen from on-chain data, that generally speaking, the projects that build on Phantom, that deploy on Phantom, are very interconnected, intertwined with each other in a very positive way. And data shows this, because data is somehow organized. Whereas on other platforms, for example, it's a little bit more messy. So we definitely want to keep and foster this spirit within the community and within the builders. That's why we really so when you come deploying on Phantom, it's really, we're here for the long run, and we're here to help you out, to grow your protocol, grow your project, and grow your audience.
Nice. Thanks, man. And I'll just kick it over to Nick as well. Did you want to add anything? Nick's our head of socials, and he's killing it recently.
So
Twitter.
Thanks, Tim. I was just gonna echo what Simone said. We want to make as much noise as possible around your launch. So I think that's something unique to Phantom is, Sam does a great job getting everybody connected. And then, we're very accessible most of the time. I think we have such a wide range of time zones, everybody's spread out around the world, that you can almost always reach someone via the chats that Sam sets up. So, the Phantom team is super accessible to you. And like I said, we want to make as much noise as possible around your launch. So, so that you have a platform and you feel like you have a voice and you're being seen when you do launch your project. So, I'm online most of the day. So you can hit me up about, working on a campaign like Simone said. Usually we start with a retweet or a quote tweet or just any kind of engagement, and then go from there.
And there's one thing as well. I'm also on the marketing side, by the way, but it's not marketing related. I think it's just important to mention if it wasn't discussed here today, which is that I think the theme that the people should hopefully be picking up here is that Phantom's really lowering the barriers to entry for developers to get started, get off the ground, and grow and scale with us without having to consider options down the road once they've really hit these milestones they're aiming for. Part of delivering that experience is abstracting a lot of the work that goes into deploying an application that isn't always necessarily directly related to the core application development. And so one of those things is security, right? We're offering a pretty unique thing here, which is a security the base layer through something called Watchdog, which is in partnership with the auditing firm DDALB. And what this is really is a automated real-time smart contract auditing system, where if you're launching on Phantom and you reach out to us and you let us know what your intentions are and the goals and milestones for your project, what is going to happen is that your contracts are going to be consistently and automatically audited by Watchdog. And then if there is anything of concern, this will be bubbled up to a human auditor who will then reach out to you and let you know what you should be thinking about preemptively before any sort of event occurs. So it's not to say that there is no value in external auditing firms, but oftentimes we find that one of the greatest barriers to entry to especially get the credibility necessary to start attracting users is auditing, which can oftentimes be costly. It can take a lot of time, and it can set back sort of milestones and development goals if that's the main barrier to entry. So that's just another thing in the arsenal of tools that we have to sort of make it an out-of-the-box experience when you arrive on Phantom, having everything you need at your fingertips so that you can really just focus on developing and deploying the best possible version of the application that you're building for the use case you're building, rather than all of the other things that oftentimes get thrown into the mix that end up draining time, money, resources, and personnel. So I just had to mention that because I think it's a very unique and interesting thing to take into consideration.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, Juan. I think already $2 billion has been hacked in DeFi this year alone. So something like that is a much needed precaution to take, and one that we take pretty seriously. So if you do have any questions about DDALB and the Watchdog program, do feel free to ask us. And it's just like Juan said, that extra step of security when you deploy something big. So if you do have a traditional finance idea that you want to launch into crypto, you need that extra support and that extra security. New types of exploits come out every day. So you need some sort of library that can update rapidly with those exploits to ensure that your protocols does stay safe.
Got a question in the chat here from Bob E. How do business partnerships work with developers on Phantom? So I think the question is, if you're a business and you're looking to work or to deploy on Phantom or work on Phantom, is there any kind of incubators you have for businesses interested in working or using Phantom as part of their business?
Yeah, that's a great question. For incubators, possibly soon. That's definitely in the roadmap for something specific like that. But if you're a business and you want to get involved within the Phantom network, there's a range of pathways you can do, right? You can approach the foundation directly and say, hey, look, this is my business and I want to go from Web 2 to Web 3. How do I do it? And then we can link you up with either a white glove service, whether it's just the whole rollout and you just have to basically plug in the idea, or we can help you linked up with a team who might just help here and there, depending on how involved you want to be and how your technical knowledge of Web3 is. We are EVM compatible, so if you're used to deploying on Ethereum or any other EVM compatible chain, it's going to be very much the same for Phantom itself. It's basically just changing the endpoint. But if I feel like you're asking if you're a Web 2 based business, so yeah, there are a range of different pathways we can take. I'd say if your business model is Web 2, you're going to really have to think hard about how you want to integrate a Web 3, because a lot of Web 2 models you can't just up and lift and then deploy. You have to think about the tokenomics. You have to think about how everyone gets involved together. Why are people incentivized to use your project, and what benefits will crypto bring your traditional model? So these are, important talks that we're happy to talk with you about, or, introduce you to someone who might be specialized in that area.
And Bob, if you or anybody else listening is involved with a company that is in Web 2 and wants to get into Web 3, reach out to us at Moralis. That is exactly what we're here to help you do. I have developers that can work one-on-one with you on it. I mean, sky's the limit. If your company wants to get involved with Web 3 and you're currently a Web 2 company, let's have a chat on the Moralis side and get you guys equipped for success, because we've got solo developers that are already building in Web 3. So you don't want to miss this opportunity. It's it's early. Don't get me wrong. We're super early. But when we're talking about something like the next stage of the internet, you don't want to risk being late. You want to catch that curve, catch that wave while you can. And Moralis is going to be your business partner in that. We are enterprise ready. We are production ready, and we can help you. So reach out to us. We have a business development team that's specifically set up to help with those types of things. So whether you reach out to us in the Discord, by email, or even here in the chat, just let us know how we can get started on that journey with you, because we want to help you. And building on Phantom is something we will support going forward as well.
Of course. Something like that, it's why the relationship between Phantom and Moralis is so important, because if you are a Web 2 company and you do want to deploy in Web 3, you have Moralis who, have all these range of services they can help you with. Phil here right now is saying, he can offer a lot of support for you. And then when you have that support and you've structured how you want to deploy in Web 3, Phantom is the network that you can choose to scale your business, to get users, and to get that extra security through DDoS. So it's almost, it's a very win-win situation here with Phantom Moralis. We can give you the whole deployment service to integrate within Web 3 and be a part of the next generation. I don't think people realize how big this is right now. I believe we'll look back, in 100 years' time and say, wow, this was the moment in history where, traditional finance finally separated from, the government's and it branched down into its own industry. I think we all recognize, one of the biggest moments in history was when religion separated from the state. And this is very much finance separating from the government and the traditional models that are holding it down. So if you would want to be a part of that quote unquote revolution within finance and take advantage of it for your business, I think it's definitely the right decision. But yeah, looking forward. Hopefully we can hear from you and hear what you're building. Be very interesting to know.
Thank you for that question, Bob. Thanks for joining us. All right. We have time for maybe one or two more questions in the chat. Now, I will be in GatherTown again after this stream. And I think I'm going to meet with one of our video editors, and we're going to see if we can release another version of this stream that's cut down, removing any parts where the sound wasn't working, in case you guys want to review this later on. I think that we retouched on every point that we said in GatherTown here on the stream now. But if there's anything else we wanted to just reiterate, because maybe we only mentioned it in GatherTown, now is certainly have some time for that as well, Sam.
Sure. Look, I don't think we'll recover anything too in depth. I believe, GatherTown's still there, and we can all meet up and kind of discuss the points.
Perfect.
So I'm looking forward to getting in there and talking with people one-on-one. So really looking forward to hopefully meeting some more developers and helping you build on Phantom.
There's a question here. Are you guys, I know we've been streaming for a while, but can you guys stick around for another half an hour or so and meet people in GatherTown?
For sure.
GatherTown, baby. We'll be there.
Perfect. So yes, Ahmed, we'll be over there in just a little bit. And one last question before we do. I saw that Phantom is hiring a content creator. I really wish such a content creator can promote Phantom projects. Not 100% sure what your question is here.
Yeah, I think Moonshot is just saying, like, in an overview sort of way, like this is how the project works, maybe like an educational format. It's an interesting idea that certainly has potential. We've got a good amount of applications already, and some very professional applicants. So we'll keep that in mind, Moonshadow. I like it.
Yeah, Moonshadow, just to make sure we understand what you mean. Do you mean sort of like tutorials on how to use different DeFi and metaverse NFT applications? Got it. Nice. Good to know.
Step by step.
Moonshadow gave some other details in the chat here. I'm not going to put all of it up on the screen here, but it is here if anybody wants to review. And yep, specifically asking about tutorials, he said here. So that's something that will be available, it sounds like.
Definitely, it's great feedback. I mean, we'll absolutely, you know, as we're hiring for this role, take all of these ideas into consideration, and we try to implement as much community feedback as we possibly can, because at the end of the day, that, you know, that's who we're doing this for. So, yeah, thank you, Moonshadow.
Beautiful, beautiful, great responses, guys. You know, a lot of times when we're talking about aspects of our dApps, like you know, visual elements and things like that, those types of things, we don't need to forget everything that we learned in Web 2. There is some overlap there, especially when we're talking about UI components, user experience, things like that. I think that the trick is figuring out, you know, when, where, and how do we integrate the Web3 functions, and how do we make it make sense to the user? You know, that's something I was talking about in GatherTown. If I'm being asked to sign, does it make sense? I would never walk into the bank to open an account, and at the door, the person says, "Oh, sign this before you open the door." Well, I would just leave. I want to know, what do they offer? Why would I want to work with this app as opposed to another one that seems similar? And then, okay, seems like a good offering. Now I'm ready to connect my wallet and maybe sign to participate in the dApp. Try to think in those terms, because then you'll make your users more comfortable, and you actually instill trust through the user experience process.
I was just going to say, Phil, also going back to your earlier comment, and we also discussed this at length on our first meeting here, but if you just keep the keyword sustainability in mind when building, I think that's what's going to win over the hearts and minds of anybody looking at these projects, right? If you are building a product or application that somebody could look at and say, you know, this isn't just like trying to extract value from whatever today's hot narrative is or whatever the fad is. If you build a product where somebody might look at it and say, you know, over time it'll evolve, but this will be around in 2-3 years, and it'll change the way that we interact with these sorts of applications and this entire ecosystem. I think that's the way to look at it. So if you prioritize sustainability over maximum extractable yield from day one, I think that's the correct way of approaching this.
All right. See some people already reaching out to me on Discord. Thank you so much. I encourage that. I'm here for you guys. You know, head of events is much a community role within Moralis as it is anything else. So at the end of the day, tell me anytime you guys have ideas, if there's something that you feel could be better, improved. I want to be accessible to you guys, and I want to make the next hackathon we have better than the one we're having now, and always improving going forward. And I'm sure that we'll see Phantom at future events, as delighted as we are to have them during the Defining DeFi event as well. Thank you so much, Sam, Samane, Nick, Juan, Ibrahim. So great to have you guys on the stream here, and great to be doing a hackathon with you and Phantom. Very exciting. I'll look forward to seeing you and everyone else in GatherTown here in just a little bit. Click the link in the description, and we'll see everybody there.
Thanks, Phil.